So when should I start singing like their funeral song? Do do do
Wait till their
do
announcement. Until it's
do
official.
do do do.
We want to make it classy. Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host Matt, and with me this week is Eli.
Hi, I'm here today to talk about how sad I am.
Oh, jeez. So we usually start off with what we've been playing, but last night we were supposed to record. We ended up postponing it to today, and good thing because just this morning Eurogamer released what their sources have told them about the NX, and I think I'd rather talk about this first since it's so new and I'm itching.
Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm itching to talk about it, so the rest can wait because it's older stuff or whatever. But yeah, so just to give people an overview, this comes from Eurogamer sources. Apparently, IGN contacted their sources to corroborate that this is true or whatever from their sources. They say they agree with that. It's stuff that Emily Rogers has also spoken of, and basically a lot of rumors we heard from multiple people, and even some patents like I forget. Nintendo was filing something, and it said the NX was for cartridges as well as discs, whereas they wouldn't say that with other games. So if it wasn't for Wii U, then the cartridges would have to be for the NX. So that kind of stuff. Apparently, it has detachable controllers that can be used for multiplayer. The screen is basically like the images they're showing aren't real. It's just someone mocked it up. But basically, it's what you would get if you ripped off the top half of a 3DS screen, where you just have the one screen and like the dual sticks and the buttons and things like that. It connects to the home base or whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's a handheld you take on the go, and you can bring it home and play with it on the TV. Things we've heard before. It runs on the Tegra X1 mobile processor, uses cartridges instead of discs, so it's clearly their console thing, because why would you state that you're using cartridges over discs if it was just a handheld? Because obviously Nintendo handhelds haven't used discs, and there'd be no reason to. It doesn't have backwards compatibility, which is not surprising. I don't think anyone really expected the Wii U to anyway. It doesn't run on Android. It's just like figures. Apparently Nintendo suggests using 32 gigabyte cards, even though plenty of games are at least 50 gigabytes. So that's not good, and plans to reveal it in September. The big thing, though, is that based on Digital Foundry's tests, which they've done a lot of frame rate tests and other not specification tests, I don't know, technical tests, if you will, says based on this Tegra X1 chip that's been out for a while, it'll be less powerful than, or more powerful than the 360 and PS3, but less than the current consoles.
Yeah,
And
the specifications on that page, if you look, it's 3 gigabytes of RAM, which is 50% more than the Wii U, but less than half of what the PS4 and Xbox One have.
unless they like add more something to it, I don't really.
The
I'm
exception
guessing
could be
that.
if perhaps there's something we don't know, and the base itself, maybe the mobile part is 3 gigs, and then maybe there's additional RAM included on the base,
Yeah.
which I could see possibly happening, or maybe you could maybe we saw one of the other patents where you could for upgrades and stuff, so maybe it's one of those things where you could buy a RAM upgrade. Like I don't really know.
Yeah.
What that would entail, but from what we know so far, if this rumor is true, this thing probably will be nowhere near current gen, or I guess I should say half a gen back, because the Neo and Scorpio are coming out, and it's not even going to be as powerful as its previous as predecessors, which is concerning. I think it's pretty clear that this thing isn't going to have any third party support.
Yeah, the only possible saving grace is apparently they could go with the Tegra X2 chip, which I'm assuming is new because IGN was saying like the
It's not out
strength of
yet.
it is unknown. Yeah, so there's a possibility of it coming up to par with current consoles, or like you said, maybe the base console has some extra power in it, which somewhat makes sense with what Nintendo was saying a couple of years ago. Like, oh, they would run on the same operating system, but they would have separate games and separate hardware. So, I mean, I guess that's a possibility, but I don't even know. Like, here's the thing: Nintendo makes a lot of stupid decisions, and I thought I'd give them the benefit of doubt with this because I figured, okay, if you're coming out with a new console, you have to be at least up to par to what the current standards are. Because how could you go above what you're currently at, which is basically a 360 with the Wii U, but less than the current consoles? Like, what would be the point in launching a console like that? Because then you're automatically discounting any third-party support. You basically be just making the Wii U all over again. So why even bother with the console in the first place? But if these rumors are to be taken seriously, then apparently they're throwing out that out the window. And I don't
Well,
know,
and
this is
it's not
ridiculous.
just about the power itself, it's about the infrastructure and the fact that they're
Sure.
not using regular AMD chips, they're using
Yeah.
or
Mobile chips.
x86, whatever. I know nothing about technology, but from what I understand, PS4, Xbox One use the x86 infrastructure or whatever, like
Hmm.
standard
Yeah,
chips.
it's basically like a regular computer versus a console, which is they make their own sort
It's
of
like proprietary. It's like
yeah,
it's like the what you call it on the PS3 how it had STEM. That
yeah,
was
yeah,
called
yeah,
STEM infrastructure.
yeah.
So it's pretty much some proprietary thing. So number one, not only is it not going to be powerful enough, but its infrastructure is going to be completely different and more and harder to develop for. I don't know what they're doing. Like I guess we'll see. Maybe there's some incredible thing, but the question remains: why would anyone buy this new system over anything else?
Yeah.
And I don't know how portable a screen and a controller can be. The thing about the clamshell design of the 3DS is that it fits in your pocket. You take it anywhere, whatever. It's great. But I mean, if we're looking at something like an Nvidia Shield, that's a pain in the ass to carry
Yeah,
around.
you need a
Because they'll,
backpack.
yeah, I mean, you'd need a backpack, which is ludicrous. Can't carry that in your pocket. So I don't know. I mean, the only benefit I could possibly see from this is that since it is on a mobile console and those tend to do pretty well for Nintendo, um, the install base is naturally going to be bigger and hopefully more attractive to third parties because it'll have the benefit. Just imagine if the Wii U had the same install base as the 3DS.
Yeah.
It would have probably done substantially better in terms of third party support. But um, other than that, this rumor is, and let me just say, I think it's true just because so many sources have verified it, and
Hmm.
it's so fleshed out.
Yeah.
I guess like it would be hard to make this sort of stuff up.
Yeah, it's not just like here's one thing that it has a touch screen in it or it vibrates or whatever. It's like here's a big comprehensive list of all. It's basically like someone gave them what's it called, like a promotional sheet or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And so I have no doubt, like I'm sure it'll have a bunch of great first party games, especially in its first year.
Hmm.
Nintendo will be able to combine its hardware and handheld divisions as they have done, but its software. Everything we would have been getting on home console and on handheld, we're now going to be getting together on one platform. But this still raises a lot of questions. Are games going to be $40 or $60? Um, you know, are can it run games on other like let's say Ubisoft really wanted to bring Ghost Recon to the NX. Let's say money wasn't a concern. Could they do it, or was that not possible? Uh, you know,
I
it's
don't know
just
if I'd worry too much about that necessarily because I mean consoles have always had their own I don't know coding languages or whatever. They've always had differences, and people have still been able to port over them. So I don't think the NX will be exceptionally hard to develop for like the PS3, but yeah, it certainly doesn't help it when the other two have like this standard platform. Now it's once again they have to do a bit more legwork. How much? Who knows?
Yeah, and we'll see how they roll out promotionally. I don't know who their target audience is. Um,
So here's my thought on why they're possibly doing this. They see that their consoles have been declining in sales year over year, or at least I guess per generation, not technically year over year. But they see their console sales dwindling, and they're noticing that their handheld sales have always been successful. And with the Wii U being such a blunder, they're like, you know what? Let's just scrap consoles entirely. Let's focus on handhelds because that's what we're good at selling at. It's cheaper. It makes us more money. We'll just make it so you can hook it up to the TV so you can still have that feature available, but we're just going to drop the console part and just focus on the handheld. Like, that's
I don't know.
all I
On the
can
on
get
the
from
other
this.
hand, if developers are concentrating on the handheld portion, our game's not going to look as good because a game looking great on a 540p screen,
Hmm.
who knows if it'll look good on a 1080p screen,
Yeah, that
uh,
too.
which is quadruple the resolution. Um, that's another concern. I I guess we'll have to wait until I guess the rumored reveal date was September,
Yeah.
which will give them through. So I guess their marketing plan would be reveal in September. Um, I think Tokyo Game Show is September. Maybe show it off at Tokyo Game Show, although they're skipping Tokyo Game Show. Never mind. Reveal in September. Maybe bring it to Paris Games Week. I think that's in October. Maybe. But then in December, you presume that they do a pretty big ramp up at the Game Awards like they've been at for the last few years.
Hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, I promote for the first 3 months of next year. But to be fair, the first 3 months of next year are already looking pretty packed.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so weird because I know Sony obviously hasn't had as much success in the handheld market, but this is pretty much what Sony did with the Vita. They're like, take your games on the go. It's like a PS3 game on the go, and that did not end up working well. I don't know. I mean, I guess Nintendo's handhelds do sell well, but I don't know. People might see this more as a botched console than like a powerful handheld.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's the way I'm seeing it. And once again, it depends on how they promote it and how the let's say the first 3 months of sales go.
Yeah.
We know their first week they'll sell through everything. That's how it always goes, no matter what you launch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really that second and third month that'll really show us.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess E3 is only 3 months after they launch the console.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. It's so weird. Like, so some people might say, "Oh man, well if it sells like hotcakes, then developers will support it, right?" Not necessarily. The Wii, the DS, and the 3DS all sold, I don't know, crazy well, and a lot of developers didn't really support those either. So, I mean, either for hardware limitations reasons or just they didn't bother. Like, even though they were successful, they didn't make any sort of exclusive things that work for those. Unless there were Japanese studios, which, I mean, they pretty much always support it, but like even if it sells well, it's like it's not guaranteed to get games anyway. It's honestly with this news, I'm thinking I might hold out on an NX and then just get like the PS4 or the Neo because there's games on that I'd like to get, and this doesn't sound great. Like I don't really.
So
How
that's
many
the
people
concern.
care about portables? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think the big concern. I mean, you'll get all the games. I'm gonna buy it day one. I want Zelda, I want Mario, I want Pikmin, I want
Yeah.
Animal Crossing, I want. I guess the handheld games will get Pokemon on the NX. I want Pokemon.
Yeah. It
Um,
does depend on the games too.
so don't get me wrong. I'm gonna buy it, but I buy shit. I buy Nintendo consoles. I buy
Yeah.
PlayStation consoles and Xboxes and this and that and the other. The question is, Joe Schmo, I want to play Call of Duty. Oh, Battlefield 1 looks great. Oh, Watch Dogs is coming out.
Star Wars.
The regular gamer that watches regular E3 coverage. I think the fact that people did not buy the Wii U for its first part. Okay, the Wii U had stellar first party titles, and I've talked about this before. I don't think that first party titles was much of an issue. I think that there were more than enough in its first 2 years. And that didn't sell the Wii U, and it really wasn't an expensive console. It just wasn't a regular console, and people want a regular console. They want achievements, they want voice chat, they want third-party games, and they want first-party games. And when you try to do this sort of different thing, like Nintendo is, and it's also about spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah.
If you were just to concentrate on each system individually, I feel that the strength of the games themselves will be far better than if you have to adapt each game for both handheld and TV use.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated, as you can probably tell.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know, because I understand where people are coming from when they say, well, we want Nintendo to do different things so they can stand up from the others. That's fine, but if you're going to do that, at least meet the standards of everyone else. Because when the other two major consoles have the same sort of features that people have come to expect, if you're not offering that, people are not going to bother with you. So, like you said, if you don't have voice chat or better online communities or this or that or an actual gosh dang account system, like, people are going to be like, why bother? This other console, both the other consoles are offering me this, so why would I go for something, less than that? It just doesn't make any sense. And I mean, if you're the majority of gamers or the majority of people who buy games are like the mainstream audience, they buy a couple of games a year, they might buy some shooters, this or that, but they're not people who are going to buy like several consoles at once. They'll buy one and stick with it because their friends are with it or blah blah blah. So once their minds, you basically have to appeal to them because they're the ones buying it, and they don't really, I don't know, you have to meet the standards that they expect. And when they see this, when they're going to see this handheld console, they'll be like, okay, well, I don't really care about bringing games on the go, and my PS4 or Xbox One is better as a home console, so why bother? They'll look at the handheld part and be like, okay, well, if the handheld thing is this important, I got a mobile phone that does all these games for free, so it doesn't compare, and I also got Pokemon Go, so there's the other big, thing they got. So what are they offering that enough people will want is the question.
Yeah. Well, although I feel like they do get a little bit of a benefit of doubt because we don't know what sort of impact Zelda as a launch title will have. Sure. If you look back at the Wii launch, I thought the launch was actually pretty good because it had a lot of third-party titles, but the first-party titles weren't there. You just had New Super Mario Bros. U and nothing else. So I don't know how much of a factor launch titles are. But you've got to imagine putting out Zelda U at launch and, I don't know, Retro Studios' new title, maybe Splatoon HD, Smash Bros. HD, all at launch. That should give it a nice little boost at the beginning. And so it's kind of nobody wants to invest in a dying console. Yeah. That's, I think, why the Wii U didn't do so well. Imagine if the Wii U took off at the very first year, but had the same exact games and everything was the same. I expect that people would have bought more of it had the install base been, substantially bigger. Mm-hmm. So you're right in what you're saying is, you've got to be able to offer this and that. But I'm curious as to how much of an impact their launch will have, and if the boost from these launch titles will be enough to kind of, raise the whole tide.
Yeah. That's a possibility, too. I mean, with the Wii, despite the obvious Wii Sports, like Zelda Twilight Princess was like a 50% attach rate or something insane. So it's like it definitely has a lot of power, and there's plenty of people who are like, you know what, I'm just going to buy Zelda for the NX because we figure it'll look better and it'll have different features and blah 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 blah. I guess it's just a matter of how many people are interested. I don't know. It's its community puts it, it's the darkest timeline. Somehow they found a way to make a console that's more powerful than the current ones, or more powerful than last gens or 2 gens ago or whatever, and less powerful than current. It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get on to what.
Okay, I guess one last related topic.
Sure.
So one of the parts of the article on the tech analysis was that it's possible that they could swap out with the X1 with the new chip.
Mm-hmm.
And you think they're going to do that, or do you think they're going to stick with the less powerful one?
Well, knowing Nintendo and the fact that they like to buy older tech and save costs, they'll probably stick with... Actually, I don't know. I guess it depends on how receptive they are to public opinion. Because if they see that people are like getting really pissed and they're like, why even bother? Like, this is going to be dead on arrival. They might do it. I don't know. They could also pack the base unit with whatever the device that like soups it up and whatnot. So I mean, we don't really know too much about that. Just that this controller has all the power in it or whatever. But I guess it depends on how much they care about public opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I really hope Kimishima can learn from the company's mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm actually on their website right now, and I'm looking. They have another chip, the Tegra K1, not the X1, and that's got 8 gigs of RAM, supports Ultra HD as well. And so I wonder what the cost difference is, but I don't know. I like to think that I have faith in Kimishima. He's been doing things okay so far, but Nintendo. I wonder how much Nintendo has plagued his mind since he took over as CEO.
Well, do we even know what Kimishima has done so far? I mean, most of the things that have come out have been just Iwata's plans that have been followed through, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, part of it, I'm sure E3, like the way that was handled, that was probably him. Which I think went really well. I think that was a good choice.
Yeah.
And, to keep... Yeah. I'm sure the NX delay was his choice, which was probably a good idea in the long run.
Yeah.
A lot of these decisions that have come this year that have kind of stunned the industry were definitely him. And I don't know how much Pokemon Go was him. That was already in development when Iwata came in, but how that launch was handled, although it was not handled spectacularly, but it did take off.
Yeah, you're right.
He helped finish off that game pretty much, that last year.
Yeah, I was going to say the delay was definitely him, and that's smart because the last couple of Nintendo consoles have been like, here's a console, it's got nothing for it, and then it doesn't do well, and they have to slash the price of the 3DS, or the Wii U just dies. So that's smart, especially when you have Zelda coming. It's like, just wait, because if you launch this thing and tell people you have to wait 3 months to buy Zelda, you're just going to lose people. So you might as well just wait and pull an Apple and be like, it's here tomorrow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you have anything else to add, or?
No, that was it.
Okay, so that's our little rant about the NX, and oh my gosh, this is I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm disappointed, I'll put it that way. I guess we'll move on to what we've been playing. And for once in my life, I've actually played a lot this week. So the first thing I want to address was Rhythm Heaven Megamix. So I was kind of like sour on it the last time we talked about it. And I figured I was at the end of the game just the way they structured it. They're like, here's 5 towers, beat the 5 towers, you're done, or whatever. And I thought that was the end. It was more like 60% of the way through. And I didn't know that until after the podcast.
Uh,
And
you
there,
lied to everyone. They trusted you.
I know. Um, but yeah, I played the rest of the. I'm assuming it was. I guessed it was about 40% of the game, and it did have more songs that I liked in it. So it wasn't as bleak as I originally thought, but I still think it could have had a bit better of a set list. But I still like the way they put it through each. I don't know, world or whatever you want to call it had like a Game Boy Advance game, a DS game, a Wii game, and then like a new game. So I thought that was a pretty cool structure that they went through. I'm just going through and getting the other mini games you can unlock now, which is going to be a pain in the ass, but I'll do it eventually. The other thing that I did this week was, or technically last week, was the flight sim experience. So for my birthday, I got
Happy birthday, happy birthday. It was the day after we recorded last podcast, so when you heard it, it was already his birthday, but happy birthday.
Thanks. So yeah, we did that. It was about an hour long, and it was roughly like 2 30-minute trips, just like taking off, flying through the sky, and landing in. It was actually pretty fun. I can't really compare it to an actual flight sim game because I haven't played one, but I thought it was really cool. There's all these buttons and everything, switches everywhere, and it looks so daunting. But then he actually tells you, like, yeah, you only really focus on like these two things throughout the whole flight, and like a third of the buttons were just lights for the airplane, which is kind of funny. But basically, I looked at like two screens. One is just matching one line to the other for your destination, because obviously the fastest way between 2 points is just a straight line, and then the other one was just lining up two lines, horizontal and vertical, to a point on this screen, and that was just to keep like your plane level and at a specific altitude and whatnot. And even though you're supposed to keep it within like at the 4,000 feet altitude mark, it's pretty easy for it to like go above 4,200 or like under 3,800 and whatnot. So my first one was pretty bad. I'm sure if the guy wasn't there, I probably would have killed us all at some point. But the second one was much easier to get. It's just the weird thing about I was going to say the controller. The weird thing about flying it is that on the one screen, moving up and down is... Oh, wait, no, it's pull back is up and push down is down. That, I don't know, that one made sense to me, but then moving left and right on the screen was reversed. So if I moved right in real life, it pushed the line like left on the screen, and that was kind of disorienting to get used to, because like the vertical seemed to work properly and the other was like opposite, so it was just hard to get that over. But by the second trip, it went well. I still didn't land great, but I flew through the air well, and it was fun. I'd suggest doing it if you're interested in that. I think it's like $70 or $80. So I mean, like if you're gonna buy a game, it's roughly the price of that. I mean, it's shorter. It's not like 10 hours or anything, but it's still fun to go through. But yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of fun with that. And the funny thing is, Star Fox Zero, 2 demos came out for it this week. The actual game and Star Fox Guard. Have you played Star Fox, Eli?
I just ordered it on sale for $20,
right.
so it has not yet arrived.
Okay, and you didn't play the demo or anything?
No, I wasn't gonna give them even that.
But you'll give them your money.
Yeah, well, $20. I mean, I was willing to pay like 15 for Project Guard. I just didn't want Star Fox Zero.
So I have some good news and bad news. Your purchase is worth the money, but not for the reasons people think. So with Star Fox Guard, the demo at least, it's funny. I actually found flying a plane easier than flying the plane in Star Fox Guard or Star Fox Zero. Of course, I didn't spend an hour flying the R-Wing like I did with the plane in the flight simulator, but the controls were quite convoluted. So you in the demo, you have actually 4 demos. You have the R-Wing, you have the chicken walker thing, You have the Landmaster, and you have the gyro wing, which is like the little helicopter, whatever you want to call it. And the I forget which one made the most sense. I guess the chicken walker like kind of made sense, but that's, I don't know. It's only like half of a vehicle because it turns in the R wing anyway, so that doesn't really count. I'd say. I guess the gyro wing is fine because you're not in a high octane battle, so you don't have to go crazy with it. Landmaster is okay, I guess, but the R wing is just awful. Like moving around in it just does not feel natural at all. Trying to look between. So unfortunately, with the demo, they don't actually give you a level. They give you like this training arena thing, which doesn't really. No, actually, well, it's in space, but you're still not shooting a bunch of enemies. You're just shooting like stagnant asteroids, so it doesn't really test your skills all that well. Even though you fly against, like, try to catch Slippy and whatnot, that doesn't really do much. Yeah, the controls just don't make sense because you have the cockpit view on the bottom, and here's the thing. My suggestion was, maybe hold the gamepad up to the TV and then you can, sort of see both of them and be able to aim that way. No, that doesn't work. Even if you try just looking at the TV and aiming with that doesn't work because the way the reticle works on the TV screen is even if you put the box on the object you're shooting, the lasers will veer off like slightly to the left or the right. So it's not hitting it directly, whereas if you look in the cockpit view, it is. And that's really annoying because I couldn't look at both screens, go back and forth at once. It just was disorienting. So I'd either look at the top screen and move around to avoid objects, or look at the bottom and try to shoot things. And it's bad enough just doing it when there's like nothing attacking you. I can't even imagine how it is when things are attacking you. It's I don't know why they did it. It just is not intuitive at all. I mean, fine, call me out. I didn't spend enough time or whatever. I played the demo a couple of times, but it just does not seem like something that this has some good ground-based work, but then I can build on top of that and learn from it. No, it just seems like we made this purposely convoluted to justify the gamepad, even though it's coming out at like the end of its life. And we're just going to leave it that way, and you can figure it out if you want to. Again, it's just like this big mess.
Fun.
Yeah. And the other problem with aiming with the bottom screen is because it uses the gyrometers or whatever you call it. Gyroscopes. Mm-hmm. That means you have to turn the gamepad like physically left and right to be able to look like left and right, and that does not make any sense because you're moving. So because you have to look at the bottom screen to see where you're aiming, if you're moving the screen, that means you're tilting the screen and you can't see it as well. So it just looks stupid. You basically have to play it as if you were playing the 3DS AR games where you like physically move with the device, or else you can't really play it because you're taking the screen out of your vision. So if you turn left, you basically have to move left with it and whatnot. It's really confusing.
Oh my god, Matt!
Why? Yeah.
Not necessarily Star Fox related, but I just had a question related to the NX rumor that was sparked by your Star Fox talking.
Okay.
So the idea is you can bring when you bring the NX home, you plug it into some sort of base, then that has an HDMI that goes out to the TV. So do you think that the tablet that you carry around is going to be used as a tablet controller like on the Wii
U? Possibly, but the other thing, like someone was showing just an example of how it would work. If the screen has to plug into the TV in some way, like you can't really use it as a controller. right? Like, what are they going to do? Pack like a 30-foot HDMI cable just so like it connects to the screen, the TV, and you can use it? Like,
Right. I guess it would need to be a separate wireless thing. Never
yeah.
mind that.
And even with wireless, it's like well, for one, I haven't heard of that kind of device where like you wirelessly transmit your. I guess they would have to plug something into the HDMI, which it receives it. I don't know. I haven't really heard of that.
I mean, they
But
could in theory do like a wireless. Okay, this is probably now getting
it would
into
have to
like
have like another box because if you think of like with my iPad, I can stream something to my television via my iPad, but there's
yeah,
an
yeah.
Apple TV box like connected to it, so it would have to have some sort of wireless receiver or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Well, the other weird thing is that it was detachable. So then it makes me think that okay, so you dock this screen into the TV, and then what? You use the detachable things as Wii remotes. Like, why is it detachable at all? That doesn't make sense. It's not going to fit in your pocket, even if you took all the things off, because the screen is probably going to be a big enough size. So then, why is it detachable at all? I don't get it. I guess you can use it as other controllers, but that doesn't seem worthwhile. It's a mess. But to finish off with Star Fox, so the reason I said your money is worth, or your purchase is worth the money, is because Star Fox Guard I think is absolutely amazing. So I like some tower defense games. I loved Plants vs. Zombies. And I've played the second one and love that. And when I saw Star Fox Guard, I'm like, okay, this is a really cool idea. You have all these screens. You're kind of like a security guard managing all these things at once. And the fun of the game is trying to look at everything and manage all these different things at once without, getting the crap kicked out of you. And the demo out for it actually has a lot put into it. Basically, you get the first world for free. There's 3 levels per map. So there's 3 different. So with the maps, there's 3 different layouts, and with each map you get like 3 levels and then some extra levels. So there's like 9 levels, and then the boss level, and then you can unlock some more extra levels by playing the other ones and beating certain challenges and whatnot. So there's a lot there just for the demo itself if you want to try it out. And after like the first level, I'm like, okay, this is definitely worth my money. I haven't bought it yet, but I will buy it eventually. But it's just really good. They make use of the gamepad a lot better than I'd say Star Fox Zero, because you can see everything on one screen, and then the bottom screen you can change your camera either where it is on the map, or if an enemy comes into your base, rather than just looking on the TV, you can see on the bottom like their path, how they're getting in and whatnot. And it's just a lot of fun to see, like, oh, there's this one guy in this one camera. Okay, I'll move over to that camera and shoot him, and then there's someone over here, and then this thing destroyed my camera, so I better look at a camera before then and whatnot. And before each level, you can set up the cameras the way you want, like where you want them to look and how they're positioned. And they even show where the enemies will ambush you. They won't tell you what enemies they are, but they'll have like, I don't know, little robot-looking things on the map to say, okay, this amount of robots are coming in from this side and whatnot. And I know it's a lot of fun. If you look at the trailer and you think you're interested in it, then you're probably going to love it.
All right. Yeah, no, I'll definitely play through. That's the one I was more excited for anyway. I'm glad you liked
Yeah.
it. I heard a lot of good things. When I played the original Star Fox Zero demo at E3
Mm-hmm.
last year, I couldn't really get into it, but Guard was the really interesting one.
Yeah. So yeah, what have you been up to this week?
Let's see. I've been playing more Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Still think it's pretty good, really good. Other than that, I don't think I've played anything. I've been watching the TV show Weeds. That's the first. I don't watch very much TV or movies, so like the fact that I'm watching TV shows, kind of a big deal for me.
Yeah.
But even then, I only watched like 3 episodes, so really I haven't done anything this week.
All right. I was gonna bring up this isn't amiibo related, but if you like Disney figures, because Disney's isn't going to be making them anymore, Amazon has had a couple of sales on them. I myself bought the Hulkbuster and Kylo Ren because I thought they were really cool. So if people want those, put them on your wish list and wait for the sales to drop because I bought them for like half price or whatnot. Yeah, so a couple of things that were announced this week is obviously the Star Fox demos. The weird thing is that these demos don't have limits on them. So a lot of demos will, even on the 3DS, they'll say...
They don't have what on them?
Limits. So on the Wii U or 3DS, sometimes they'll say like, oh, you get 5 plays or 10 plays or 30 plays or whatnot. And these are just unlimited. For whatever reason, I guess they figure that there's no point in limiting them because there's not many people left to play it. So the Blast Ball demo has come out too, the Metroid Prime Federation Force. I tried that for like a second. I didn't really give it a fair analysis or review or whatever, but I played the Blast Ball thing and I couldn't really get into it, so I just kind of like dropped it. I guess you haven't tried that out either.
No, because I can't give you a good reason. I was too lazy to download it.
Yeah. It doesn't look all that interesting. It's about as interesting as it looks from my limited playthrough. Apparently Razer is making a Pokemon Go chatting app that's...
I saw that.
Yeah, it's out for iOS and Android now. You can message people within like 3 miles or 60 miles within your region or like a 600-mile radius. It has public or team-only chat, and you can send messages to specific people and whatnot. So, I mean, I guess if you're playing Pokemon Go, you might want to check that out and see how
if you're lonely, like we all know you are, there's an app for that.
Yeah. Apparently Animal Crossing New Leaf is getting amiibo content based on the figures and cards. I don't know why. It's like
it's a bit late for that.
Yeah, isn't it like 3 years too late?
Let's see. Came out. Yes, it is more than 3 years too late.
I think. Well, I guess it's not fair because Amiibo only came out like recently. But I mean, Amiibo came out like what, a year, maybe more ago?
I'm sure Nintendo knows what it's doing. It's going to sell a bunch of new units because of this thing. You know, I'm sure Amiibo. I'm sure New Leaf is just going to start flying off shelves again.
I'm not sure if that's sarcastic or not.
Yeah, it's completely sarcastic.
Okay. It was just like a deadpan delivery. I'm like, are you just tired or sarcastic?
No. My emotionless voice hopefully indicated sarcasm, but...
Okay. So here's something funny and not surprising. Nintendo stocks dropped 17% after the stockholders realized that Nintendo didn't make Pokemon Go.
God, they're idiots. I mean, honestly, I had a friend actually that invested in Nintendo right before Pokemon Go came out.
Yeah.
And so he made a bunch of money off it, and I'm like, man, you should sell like today. Like, and this was 2 or 3 days ago before the drop. He said, well, why? And I'm like, because you do know Nintendo doesn't make any of that money. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, investors aren't stupid. And I'm like, yeah, they are. You need to take that money out like right now.
Did he?
So, yeah, no, investors are, I mean, they're always stupid though. Like, they ride trends. They saw there was this thing shooting up. Everyone was playing Pokemon. Yeah, a lot of the people that invested, they're not game industry analysts, you know, and they're not Michael Pachter, who could have probably told you to take your money out after a week.
Yeah.
And that's actually what he said on his show. So yeah. I think that everyone already knew that this was the way it was going to end. It was the price value was inflated anyway. It went from 15,000 yen to 33,000 yen. Are you kidding me? One mobile game that you get 10% of the revenue from is going to more than double your stock valuation?
Yeah. So even after this drop, Nintendo is still like 60% up in stocks than before the game. So they're still up. They're just not up as much.
It's still gonna fall. I think they've got another investors report coming out in the next coming days, which will not be great because they had no games this year.
Yeah.
But But what was I saying? But next investor report, especially after the NX comes out, will probably go up again because people like to get all happy about new consoles.
Yeah. Did your friend end up selling his stocks?
Yes, he did.
Oh,
He,
good.
he ended up cashing out when I told him.
That's good. Yeah, I don't know why people invest in things they really don't understand. Like, what benefit do you have to gain if you don't know how to play the stock market?
Yeah, I mean, for real, they're just riding the waves. A lot of people have their own stockbrokers, and stockbrokers maybe even thought it was a good idea, which was actually kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I did make a stock account. I've never invested in stocks before. I did make an account this last week because I feel like I know Nintendo well enough to where I could like make a little bit of cash off their stocks.
Yeah. And then the
Since
next was rumors came out, and then it just
yeah, and then I realized that
you're like,
actually
oh
I
crap,
shouldn't invest anything.
like I
No,
better
no,
sell
but
it
I know
because
that
it's stolen. Yeah.
stockholders are stupid, so I anticipate after the reveal, stocks, the stock price will shoot up, and then I will sell, and then the console will come out and do pretty badly, and then it'll crash again, and then I'll buy again. It's a cycle.
Oh my gosh, it's a horrible, horrible cycle we live. Man, yeah,
People
that
get
is
excited because it's Nintendo, and then their dreams get dashed and
crushed.
depressed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. Is Nintendo gonna do right this time? Nope. Well, another 5 years, and we'll hope. There's only so many times you can pull that. So a little while ago, there were some rumors that Legendary was aiming down the Pokemon Company for to be able to make a movie. Wow, I worded that greatly. There were rumors that Legendary was going to get the rights to a Pokemon movie, and now it's finally revealed it's going to be a Detective Pikachu movie.
Great. Nintendo. I'm guessing I don't know who they negotiated with to get these film rights. I'm guessing it's probably the Pokemon Company, but I'm sure Nintendo had some pretty big influence. Man, Nintendo, great job for your first Pokemon movie. You got this huge property, live action, da 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 da, and you're choosing Detective Pikachu. All right.
So here's I guess my reasoning for it. Even though Detective Pikachu is like his own character, besides normal Pikachu, I guess you could say. I guess they want to focus on him because he's like the main mascot for the series, and that will be, I guess, easy to get people interested, possibly. But also the fact that maybe they just don't want to put down like tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to develop a Pokemon movie where you see all these like somewhat realistic Pokemon spread all throughout the world, like basically the World of Warcraft movie. So they're like, well, let's try something with Pikachu first because we won't need to have a whole lot of Pokemon in the movie. See how well that does, and if it does well, then make like a true, I guess, Pokemon movie where someone goes on an adventure and they have a team.
But if your original movie doesn't do well, the next one won't do.
But I mean, I think that's their point. Like, okay, if this one movie doesn't do well, then we won't bother with the next one because why bother?
That's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It didn't do well because you didn't put the work or time into it.
I guess, but I mean, like, they're two separate things, right? I mean, one's like a detective movie that focuses on like one or two characters, and another is like this monomyth style adventure. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see them saying we're not going to put.
I wonder. I assume they're putting this out in they would put this out in actual movie theaters, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't imagine going to a movie and seeing Detective Pikachu and being like, "All right, kids, let's go see that."
Hey, I mean, kids watch, what is it, Detective Conan or something? It's an anime. I don't even know if kids watch. I don't even know the audience. I'm assuming kids because the detective is a kid, but maybe it could have success from that based off of that. I don't know. It definitely sounds interesting. This probably means that they're finally going to localize the Detective Pikachu game over here. Whenever the heck that happens is basically a different story because they may just hold on to it until the movie and be like, here's a game, even though it was out like 3 years ago. So, I don't know about that. Pokemon Sun and Moon are discontinuing and adding some things. They're like closing the global link. and then they're going to reopen it for Sun and Moon and whatnot. Apparently, they're going to have like online in Sun and Moon. You can make like your own competitions either in person or online, which is kind of neat, I guess. And then you can do like hyper training, which is like the affects your EVs or IVs. I forget which one.
Probably your IVs because you can already affect your EVs.
Okay, that's what it is. Yeah, you can increase your base stats past level 100. The only stipulation is that you have to find bottle caps. So it's Pokemon Fallout now. You got to collect those bottle caps. That's pretty much it for that. Another thing, Nintendo apparently has bugged Eiji Aonuma, the Zelda producer, to make a new IP. So this is pretty interesting. How interested would you be to see him do something else?
I don't know. He's so good at what he's doing already, you know. I don't know if I want him to be detracting from that, especially since their new IPs from their older creators have been really hit or miss lately. Cough Wii Music.
That was like 6 years ago.
So I don't know if I want Nintendo putting, $60 million into a new one of his games when there's no guarantee it would succeed. Meanwhile, we know Zelda's good and we know Zelda will do well.
Well, I mean, he could also do like a lesser role on Zelda, like still overseeing it. Like, I don't think they would just leave him out entirely. He'd probably like check back in and stuff. But I mean, like, it is hit or miss. But I think this is going to sound mean. It's mostly Miyamoto that's the miss, like Star Fox Zero, because you play Yoshi's Woolly World, which was by Tezuka, and that game is like awesome, and that was like a return to form or using an old franchise again. So I think it's just Miyamoto that's the problem. But this kind of goes along with. So what he said was that I can't really share much. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say, but I really like the idea of where I can live as a thief, which kind of goes along with what Miyamoto mentioned before, that they were thinking of making a Sheik spin-off game. So this would sort of, like, it wouldn't be a Zelda sequel or anything like that, but it would still be like, here it's in the Zelda universe, but it's also like a new thing that fills his interest for like a thief game or ninja game. So
maybe, I don't know. I'm not too into that genre, but so I won't be able to judge if it's good or not.
Did you play Mark of the Ninja?
No, I didn't. I don't really play stealth games.
Oh, okay.
I don't have the patience. You see, I hate them when they're in games, especially non-stealth games. It's just, why are you making me wait for this guy to walk past me facing backwards? I don't want to wait.
Yeah, I don't think I waited too long in Mark of the Ninja. I think it was pretty...
I mean, obviously I was doing a brass generalization.
Yeah, no, I know. But I meant like his stealth games to like possibly try out. That would probably be the best, because it's a side-scroller. So I think there's less... you'd have to, I guess, worry about. You can hide in like ventilation shafts and whatnot. You might just get annoyed that if you get seen by like a laser, you'll probably just almost die instantly.
Yeah, I hate how there's like no health bar. I mean, Assassin's Creed is kind of stealthy, but like at least you don't die when you get caught. You can still fight.
Yeah.
So that's all that contributes. I've never really been into stealth games very much.
Okay. Not too much left. Splatoon, the last Splatfest is over, but apparently they're making ways to get sea snails, which you could use to boost your gear or just skip leveling it up. I forget which one. Basically, you roll over one of the traits randomly and see what happens. You could only get those with Splatfest before, but now you can get them for every 30 matches you win, which still seems like a long time, but I mean, I guess if if you play it like once a day, like Splatfest were only like once every 2 months or something, so it's probably as fast, if not faster, than Splatfest.
You really got to put the time into it, though.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a rumor there's a new Mega Man game coming out, and it's based on the horrible, ugly-looking cartoon. which is unfortunate. Um, I'm hoping it'll be a Sonic Boom sort of situation, only reversed, where the TV show is bad but the game is good, whereas Sonic Boom, it's like the TV show was good but the game was bad. Um, Apparently it's coming to consoles, and then 3DS and mobile are like the lesser versions, and some other little naming convention kind of things are changing. I don't know. I'm not particularly thrilled with the way they're going with the TV show. It's just really, really kiddie, I guess you could say, like for like 7 or 8 year old kind of thing. And I don't know. I don't mind like a younger audience sort of approach. I mean, like, I love cartoons, so it's not like, oh, Looney Tunes, that's for kids, I'm never gonna watch that, I'm an adult, or something stupid. Like, I'd still love that, but it's more just like this kind of childish thing that's purposefully stupid. I don't know. Like, you can tell the difference between like a good cartoon show aimed for all audiences and then one that's specifically for kids, where it's like everyone's incredibly stupid and you're just being like talked down to, like as if you're 5 years old.
They don't respect you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it takes place in, I forget if it's elementary school or, well, it's definitely not high school, so yeah, it would be elementary school. But it's the show sounds like it's more of Astro Boy than Mega Man, which is weird. I don't know. Anyway, I'll move on to my ranting or whatever you want to call it. The last thing was, so a couple of months ago, Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter was saying, oh, there's a Sonic party for like the 25th anniversary or however many years it's been. Yeah, it's 25 because it was the year I came out. I didn't watch the show, but apparently it had so many problems and was like cringy and just awful, but that's why I didn't bother watching it, because I'm like, whatever, I'll just wait for the game announcements. And they did announce a couple of things. Some for Nintendo consoles, some not. So Sonic Mania is basically the Sonic 4 that people have wanted. It looks just like a Sega Genesis game. It has some older levels remixed, but it also has newer stuff. What the ratio of that is, I have no idea. It looks really cool. Basically, if you like the Genesis games, you should like this one. The only thing is it's not on Nintendo consoles, so you'll either have to get it on PC or something else. Jules Watsham, I forget how you pronounce his name.
Watsham.
Okay. Jules Watsham.
No, actually, I don't remember.
Okay. I forget if it has an H or not. But basically, the guy from Renegade Kid asked them on Twitter if he could port them to 3DS, which would be kind of cool. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, because he asked that for a bunch of other games too, and that didn't. Well, actually, how many other games did he ask that? I know he did for Mighty Number 9, but that's a whole mess of its own. I think he might have asked for a couple of others, and I don't think he's usually gotten them, so I wouldn't put too much. I wouldn't put too much on it. But who knows? You never know what could happen. But the other game that they announced that's coming to a Nintendo console is their Sonic. I don't know. They're calling it 2017. They don't have an official title for it. I mean,
that's coming to the NX. Yeah. That's Nintendo.
Yeah, that's a thing that's happening.
That will be the beginning and the end of the NX's third-party support.
Yes. It's so funny with the Sega deal that Nintendo had. All the Sonic exclusive games they got were like garbage. It was Sonic Lost World, Sonic Boom, and then the Olympic games, which I guess is hit or miss depending on who you are. They probably sell well, but it's funny that they paid for that deal and it got them like garbage. And maybe this multi-platform one will do good. Some are saying it's not Generations 2 or this or that because one of the guys in charge of it is saying, oh, well, it's not a sequel, but it's pretty clearly that it's Generations 2. It's just the main difference is that it's probably not going to use older Sonic levels and remake them. It'll just be like new stuff entirely. Because it does have the new modern Sonic and classic Sonic there, so I mean they're using the same basic structure. Mm-hmm. I know it could be good, but the grim dark emo Sonic 06 vibe they used with the like apocalyptic opening is kind of cringeworthy. It's like, really, you know that people hated '06, and you're going to use this to promote it. Like, don't start that. Don't even go there. Why are you going there? I don't know. Did you play the original Sonic Generations?
I played through like half of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't finish it, but it was pretty good. I enjoyed what I played of it.
It was weird. I liked half. I completed the game, but I only liked like half of it. The 3D sections I thought were cool. The 2D sections I didn't really like the way it controlled. So it felt more of a slog to me. I'm like, oh great, here's the classic Sonic levels. It controls like butt. I gotta try this thing. Maybe it was just me using a PS3 controller, because I didn't use the joystick because that feels weird on a 2D plane. So I used the D-pad, and maybe the D-pad is just not great for it.
Yeah, yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I think I played it on 360 now that I think about it,
Yeah.
which D-pad is also terrible.
Yeah.
But I don't think I use a D-pad.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I'm pretty sure there was something about it that was not just specific to the controller I was using, but like the way the gravity worked in the game for 2D Sonic, things like that. But I don't know. I guess if they can tune that up a bit, this should be pretty good. I guess they're realizing that rather than try to go for another whole 3D adventure and kind of flop on their face, they'll kind of go back to basics sort of and be like, well, this one thing worked, let's try that for a bit and try to skip the several year run of bad games under our list, because we're not doing so well. But yeah, I think that's about it for today, unless there's something else you want to talk about, or some other news.
Nope, that's all I got.
Alright.
It's been pretty much an hour anyway.
Yeah. No, I was just looking if something popped up at the last second. No, nothing crazy. Alright, so you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at the Mango Viking. And where can people find you?
You can find me at Twitter at Paul Salon. You can find me on NintendoEnthusiast.com writing stuff. And also, I'm going to plug this. It's our new platform. If you go to enthusiast.gg, we've got a new blogging platform up there. The way it works is a little bit like YouTube and Reddit. So you can either write something up or just put like a cool image you see or whatever it is, as long as you credit where it came from, and then you get revenue based off of how much traffic it gets. So if you ever thought about writing about games or anything like that, check out the site. We're growing it. We got about 100,000 page views in the last 10 days.
Nice.
So it's actually growing very quickly, and would be really cool if you could check it out.
Cool. Will do. So you can find us at Just Another Castle on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, iTunes, Podomatic, Destructoid, and IGN. You can leave us comments and if you want to be a guest. So we'll see you next time and leave gaming to Nintendo.